Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. We've been talking about a lot of piano music, keyboard music, and we've done things like themes and variations and etudes and all kinds of cool piano stuff. And one of you mentioned when I made my list of sort of basic piano etudes for etudeniks. I love etudes. Don't you love etudes? They're so much fun. They're supposedly study pieces to teach you technique, but they can also become simultaneously fabulous little gems of high art. The most important examples, of course, being Chopin's, but there are lots of them. And one of you mentioned, well, there is always the Brilliant Classics box of Virtuoso piano etudes, 22 CDs worth. And here they are. Here it is. I thought we'd just run through it and have a little fun as the sort of capstone of our tour through the piano etude world. Not that there won't be more of them, of course. I mean, it's just a fascinating little niche in the classical music universe. And for those of you who are not pianists or who, aren't that familiar with the classical music universe, you should really just consider listening to them and have a good time, because the thing about etudes, that is these study pieces, these pieces to give you your technical virtuosity, artistic etudes. I mean, there are studies like, books and books that budding pianists have to slog through, and they're very formulaic and completely uninteresting musically. But I mean the ones that have musical substance as well as pedagogical purpose. The thing that's so cool about them is that they're usually relatively short and quite zippy, although in the Romantic period, the concept of etude was expanded to the point where it ceased to have any sensible meaning. It could be anything. But the idea is they're really fun to listen to. They keep your imagination going. You don't have to care about what the technical aspect is. You really don't. You just have to listen to the joy in virtuosity, in digital dexterity, allied to wonderful tunes and interesting harmonies. It's just a terrific little niche of the repertoire to get yourself into. And if you're really into it, well, 22 CDs worth is quite something. So you want to see what we've got here? I mean, it's really an amazing box of stuff, I will say. So let's take out these 22 fun-filled CDs. Well, we have a book, a nice little book. And you think I'm dropping things all over the place? All right, here we are. Here they are, 22 fun-filled CDs consisting of, are you ready? Number 1, Czerny, Etudes from the Art of Finger Dexterity. Now, Czerny exercises are the bane of pianists' existence. We all had to do them. And they're fabulously systematic, and he wrote zillions and zillions and billions and trillions of them. The Art of Finger Dexterity is just one. It was his opus 740. Holy mackerel. So, it's incredible, really incredible. But some of these are really fun. I mean, they're fun. They're fun to listen to. They're not all dry and dreary, but I mean, who's going to wade through opus 740 plus to find the juicy ones? Well, here are some juicy ones, and you can decide for yourself whether they're actually worth listening to as art or whether they're just plickety, plickety, pluckety, 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 It's up to you. So it's nice to have a sample, opus 740. That's a guy who was organized. He was organized. Then we have Clementi, Gradus ad Parnassum, the art of playing on the piano forte, exemplified in a series of exercises. Now, this is his Opus 44, Volume 3. These people really knew how to churn them out. I mean, they did. It's like huge quantities of stuff. And these actually predate Czerny, and they're really fun. Clementi was a wonderful composer. He was the first sort of great romantic or proto-romantic keyboard artist. And he was very well respected by everybody. He very carefully published his stuff. He lived mostly in London. And this is definitely worth hearing. Clementi is an interesting sort of guy to get into if you're into keyboard music. So that's disc 2. Stephen Heller. Now, he lived from, 1813 to 1888. 25 melodic studies. Now, these are lovely. These are lovely, lovely works. They're programmatic. They have titles. The Brook, The Avalanche. Yeah, there's that one. A Real Task, Sorrow and Joy, Song of May, Danse Triste, sad song, Determination, and, etc., etc., etc. So these are really fun to do. And you could look at the titles and listen along to them. But the point is that they are studies in melody, which is a whole different concept. It's not just, playing thirds or hand crossings or, big leaps up and down the keyboard. It's playing tunes. That's an art in and of itself. It really is. The ebb and flow of a melody, the rise and fall, how you group phrases, where the natural climax is, how you accent certain notes to bring out the expressive intent of the tune. Something to think about while you're listening. Hummel was the proto-Chopin. He was the successor of Mozart and sort of the link between Mozart and Chopin and those people. And he wrote 24 etudes. And Ignaz Moscheles, he was a major piano virtuoso from the early 19th century. His actual lifetime, he lived a long time, 1794 to 1870. And he wrote Grand Characteristic Studies, Opus 95. There's Juno and a Bacchanal and Terpsichore, the Muse of Dance, and Widerspruch. All kinds of fun stuff. Yes, especially your Widerspruch. I mean, what's not to love? And then we've got, Karl Tausig. These are just famous virtuoso pianists from the beginning of the 19th century. We've got Moritz Moszkowski. Well, he was 1925. He was later. Adolf von Henselt, 12 Characteristic Studies. You have a Storm and all kinds of stuff. And, a bird thing, and Anton Rubinstein and Anatoly Lyudov, the Russian. So some of these are earlier, some of these are later, but they are all great piano virtuosi who wrote etudes. Let me see who's playing these things. Michael Ponti and Marco Rapetti. These are licensed from all over the place. And, some of them are quite wonderful. I mean, some of the artists are just amazing. Let me see, is there anybody famous here? No, not yet. No one we need to deal with. Good. I don't want to go back. Chopin etudes. This is with Zlata Chocheva. Let's see, where was this licensed from? Is it Brilliant Classics? No, it's a Brilliant Classics production. Okay. All the Chopin etudes. Gotta have those. I mean, but those you'll recognize, at least a lot of them. Schumann's Symphonic Studies. Okay. Some of these are with Peter Frankl, and others are with Wolfram Schmidt-Leonardi. And then these 6 etudes after Paganini Caprices. And we all know the Paganini Caprices, right? That's the last of the Paganini Caprices. And then we've got, more concert etudes after Paganini Caprices. Good Lord. Yes, people could not resist Paganini Caprices, turning violin studies into piano studies because they were just so melodically fun and catchy. Liszt, 12 transcendental etudes. Mariangela Vacatello. Okay, whoever that is, that's exciting. So the Liszt Transcendental Studies are kind of amazing. They also have titles, a lot of them do, but they run from a minute to 11 minutes, which is amazing. Some of them are very quick and virtuosic. Some of them are much slower and more lyrical, and they are essential listening for piano study people. Then we've got more Liszt, the Paganini etudes, more Paganini etudes. Lots of Paganini etudes. Then we've got Busoni's version of some of the Paganini etudes. And Etude de Concert and 2 concert etudes. It's just etudes all over the place by Liszt and Busoni. Alcan. This is great stuff with Vincenzo Maltempo and Alessandro Degliavan. These are marvelous. Oh, yes. 12 etudes in all the minor keys, where you get the symphony for solo piano and the concerto for solo piano. And they're here with Vincenzo Maltempo. These are very, very good performances. And they're available separately in the Alcan box, which I've talked about, of course. But Alcon was one of the great, insane etude writers. And these etudes are not etudes in the sense of being limited to one specific thing. They're etudes in the sense of being just unbelievably eccentric, romantic, gigantic exercises in virtuosity, technical virtuosity, and in orchestral versus keyboard textures. And oh my God, they're amazing. Just amazing. Oh, and we have Alcon etudes in all of the major keys. These are also wonderful with Mark Wiener. That's terrific. Wiener, whatever his name is. Saint-Saëns wrote beautiful etudes. Wonderful etudes. I've talked about these too. This is with Marilyn Doss piano. And these were on Vox. These are gorgeous works. There's a group of 6 for the left hand alone, and then a bunch of other ones, including one that's a toccata based on the finale of his 5th piano concerto, which is so catchy. Da 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 ba 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 bum 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 bum. But of course, it's a piano and orchestra work, which Saint-Saëns slams together as a piano solo here in the last of these 6 etudes, Opus 111. Yeah. Juicy. So, after Saint-Saëns, Brahms, of course, the variations on the theme of Paganini, books 1 and 2. These are, in fact, etudes, and they are brilliant, brilliant etudes. Great fun and beautiful. Then we get Sergei Bortkiewicz and Alfredo Casella, his 6 studies, and Cécile Chaminade, the lovely French composer, who is really a fine, fine artist in her own right. So that's another 70 minutes of etudeness. Sergei Lyapunov, he wrote 12 transcendental etudes, just like Liszt did. And here they are, played by Vincenzo Maltempo to get your etudacity going. My God, there's a lot of these. Number 16, Rachmaninoff, his Etude Tableau. Now, these are lovely. Etude Tableau means etudes on the one hand, and pictures, portraits, something. There's something. Some of them we know what they are, actually. But they are wonderful, wonderful works. Some of Rachmaninoff's most popular piano works. These are played by Zlata Chocheva again. It was really very good pianist. And this is Rachmaninoff. Scriabin's complete etudes. Scriabin was a real successor in the etude department of Chopin. I mean, Chopin was his model. His harmonic sense, of course, was a lot freakier than Chopin's as he got into his later works. But most of these are fairly early-ish. Well, no, there are some later ones, but the Opus 8s and Opus 2s, and after Opus 42, things get a little more quirky and Scriabin-esque. But this is squarely in the school of Chopin etudes, and these are played by Dmitry Alexeyev. Okay, yeah. Let's see, CD 18. We're getting through this. Godowsky. Oh, boy. He wrote studies on Chopin's etudes. These are etudes about etudes, which is amazing. He took like 2 Chopins and jammed them together, or had a whole Chopin one played with the left hand alone with extra parts added. I mean, this is really, really fun stuff. These are played by Emmanuel Delucci, but of course you must have the Marc-André Amelin collection of the complete Godowsky etudes. I mean, Chopin etudes. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing. So there you go. Debussy's etudes, one of his very last works for piano, and there are classics. It's a strange work, a very, very interesting piece, full of sort of a new style for Debussy, more dissonant harmonies, it's not impressionistic. It's very, very clear and very sharp and edgy, and they're just marvelous pieces. And what else have we got? Earl Wild, 7 Virtuoso etudes after George Gershwin. They actually go very well with Debussy. This is great fun. This is played by, Mariangela Vaccatello and Giovanni Doria Milietta. There are a lot of really good Italian pianists out there, by the way, these days. They really are. For some reason, it's an up-and-coming piano school, just like the Canadians were, 20 years ago, and maybe still are. Then we've got Stravinsky's 4 studies, Bartók's 3 studies, Messiaen's 4 rhythmic etudes, and Ligeti, book 1 of his piano etudes, which are the 20th century, 21st century modern etude exemplars. full of really fascinating new sounds and unbelievably insane techniques. Nikolai Kapustin, yay! He's the Russian jazz etude guy. He's amazing. 8 concert etudes. Friedrich Gulda, play piano play. 12 sort of things for Yuko, whatever they are, study pieces for Yuko. And John Cage, Etude Boreal, which are Cage. It's like their chant pieces. And so that's a wonderful modern collection. And finally, book 1 from Philip Glass, played by Jeroen van Veen. And this is another wonderful set of contemporary etudes. So there you go. I'm not going to belabor any of this. I mean, if you already know who you are, if you're an etude person, if you're feeling etudeness, I have to, wait a minute, get these back in their box. There we go. So I can flip it around at you one last time. Here it is, Brilliant Classics, Virtuoso Piano Etudes. It's really quite a collection. A wonderful reference collection of just tons and tons and tons of fine music with names you probably haven't heard of and composers you may want to explore. It's a good way to do it. A really good way to do it. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.